Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to tell you a powerful moral story that may sound simple on the surface but carries a deep life lesson that many people learn too late. This is the story of two friends, their greed, their choices, and how those choices shaped their fate. As you listen, try to reflect on your own life, because this story is not just about them, it is about all of us. Once upon a time, in a small village surrounded by green fields and dusty roads, there lived two close friends named Ramesh and Suresh. They had grown up together since childhood. They played in the same streets, went to the same school, and shared the same dreams of becoming successful one day. Everyone in the village knew them as inseparable. Where one went, the other followed. They laughed together, worked together, and promised each other that no matter what happened, they would always remain friends. As they grew older, life slowly began to change. The village was peaceful, but opportunities were limited. Ramesh and Suresh often sat under a large banyan tree near the edge of the village, talking about their future. They dreamed of wealth, comfort, and respect. They did not want to spend their entire lives struggling the way their parents had. They wanted more. At first, this desire was natural. Wanting a better life is not wrong. But over time, this desire slowly turned into something darker. One day, an old traveler passed through the village. He was tired, dusty, and clearly had been on the road for a long time. The villagers offered him water and food, and in return, the traveler shared stories of the outside world. He spoke about distant cities, busy markets, and people who became rich through trade and hard work. Ramesh and Suresh listened carefully. Their eyes sparkled with excitement. That night, they could not sleep. The stories of wealth and opportunity kept playing in their minds. The very next morning, they made a decision. They would leave the village and try their luck in the city. Their families were worried, but they also understood the dreams of young men. With blessings and tears, Ramesh and Suresh packed their small bags and set off together, promising to look out for each other no matter what. The journey was long and tiring. They walked for days, sharing food, water, and stories to keep their spirits high. Whenever one felt weak, the other encouraged him. At this point, their friendship was still strong. They truly cared for each other. After many days, they finally reached a large city filled with noise, people, and endless activity. Everything was new and overwhelming. At first, life in the city was difficult. They struggled to find work and often went to bed hungry. But they did not give up. Slowly, they found small jobs carrying goods in the market. They worked from morning till night, saving every coin they earned. Months passed, and their hard work began to pay off. They saved enough money to start a small trading business together. The business started modestly. They bought simple goods and sold them at a small profit. Because they worked honestly and treated customers well, people began to trust them. Their business grew steadily. Soon, they were earning more money than they had ever imagined. They moved from a small rented room to a better place. They ate well, dressed better, and enjoyed the comforts they had once only dreamed of. But as their wealth increased, something else began to grow as well: greed. At first, it was subtle. Ramesh started counting the money more often, always calculating how much more they could earn. Suresh began comparing their business with others in the market, feeling jealous when someone earned more. Slowly, their conversations changed. They talked less about friendship and more about profits. They began to argue over small things, especially money. One day, they made a large profit from a successful deal. As they sat counting the money, Ramesh felt a strange thought enter his mind. He wondered if he was doing more work than Suresh. He felt he deserved a bigger share. Suresh, on the other hand, felt the same way. He believed his ideas were the reason for their success. Neither of them spoke these thoughts out loud, but the seed of greed had been planted. As time passed, their trust in each other slowly weakened. They began to keep small secrets. Ramesh started making deals without fully informing Suresh. Suresh began hiding some earnings, thinking it was only fair. They both justified their actions in their own minds. They told themselves they were just protecting their interests. One afternoon, a wealthy merchant approached them with a tempting offer. He wanted them to transport a valuable bag of gold coins to another city. The payment was high, higher than anything they had earned before. Ramesh and Suresh immediately agreed. As they prepared for the journey, they felt excited and nervous. This deal could change their lives forever. They set off early in the morning, carrying the heavy bag with them. As they walked along a lonely road through a forest, the weight of the bag seemed to grow heavier with every step. Not just physically, but mentally as well. Both of them were thinking the same thing, though neither said it out loud. What if the gold belonged to only one of them? As the sun climbed higher, they stopped to rest under a tree. Ramesh looked at the bag, then at Suresh. His heart was beating fast. He thought about how much his life could change if he kept the gold for himself. He imagined a big house, respect, and a life without struggle. At the same time, Suresh was having similar thoughts. Greed had completely taken over their minds. Ramesh broke the silence and suggested that one of them should go to the nearby town to buy food while the other guarded the gold. Suresh agreed. They decided that Suresh would go to buy food while Ramesh stayed behind. As Suresh walked away, Ramesh stared at the bag. His thoughts became darker. He convinced himself that this was his chance. Meanwhile, Suresh was also thinking. As he walked toward the town, he thought about poisoning the food so that Ramesh would die, and he could take all the gold. The thought shocked him at first, but greed quickly silenced his conscience. When he reached the town, he bought food and secretly mixed poison into it. Back under the tree, Ramesh had made his own terrible decision. He decided that when Suresh returned, he would kill him and keep the gold. He felt no guilt. His greed had blinded him completely. He waited impatiently, his mind filled with dangerous thoughts. When Suresh returned, they greeted each other with fake smiles. They sat down to eat. Ramesh offered Suresh the poisoned food, and Suresh offered Ramesh the same. Within moments, both of them collapsed to the ground. The poison worked quickly. Neither of them survived. The bag of gold lay between them, untouched and useless. The wealth they had desired so badly became the reason for their destruction. Their friendship, which had once been their greatest strength, was destroyed by greed. Later that day, travelers passing by found the bodies and the bag of gold. When the truth was discovered, people shook their heads in sadness. They spoke about how greed can destroy even the strongest bonds. The story of Ramesh and Suresh spread far and wide as a warning. This story teaches us a powerful lesson. Greed is a dangerous emotion. It starts small, but if left unchecked, it can grow and consume everything in its path. Ramesh and Suresh had everything they needed: friendship, opportunity, and success. But they wanted more, and in wanting more, they lost everything. In life, it is important to understand the difference between ambition and greed. Ambition pushes us to grow and improve, but greed makes us selfish and blind. Greed makes us forget our values, our relationships, and even our humanity. It convinces us that money and possessions are more important than people. Another important lesson from this story is the value of trust. Ramesh and Suresh lost trust in each other long before they lost their lives. Once trust is broken, relationships begin to fall apart. No amount of money can replace genuine trust and friendship. This story also reminds us that the choices we make define who we are. Every small decision matters. Greed did not destroy Ramesh and Suresh in one moment. It happened slowly, through small dishonest actions and selfish thoughts. If they had stopped and reflected at any point, things could have been different. As you go through your own life, remember this story. Remember that success means nothing if it costs you your values and relationships. True wealth is not measured by how much money you have, but by the peace in your heart and the people who stand by you. If you ever find yourself feeling jealous, greedy, or tempted to hurt others for personal gain, pause and think. Ask yourself what truly matters. Money can be earned again, but lost trust and broken relationships are often impossible to repair. The story of two greedy friends is not just a tale from the past. It is a reflection of the world we live in today. We see people sacrificing honesty, kindness, and loyalty for wealth and power. But as this story shows, such paths often lead to regret and destruction. Let this story be a reminder to choose integrity over greed, friendship over wealth, and contentment over endless desire. Because in the end, the greatest lesson of all is simple: greed never leads to happiness, but gratitude and honesty always do. Thank you for listening to this story. If it made you think or taught you something valuable, take a moment to reflect on it and share it with others. Sometimes, a simple story can change the way we see life.